almost June, and we're finally back at our remote property and off-grid cabin. This time we spent well over a week up at Middlefork, with me up solo for 5 days working remotely, very remotely, from the cabin while tackling a few small projects. Then my wife and our German Shepherd Keltie joined me for another 4 days. One of our main goals of this trip was to not work on projects 14 hours a day like we have been up to this point. Honestly, the cabin has gotten to be a very nice place to spend some time, so we wanted to relax a bit and escape the hustle of daily life. Of course, we did a few small things like clearing brush, walking more of the property, exploring the north side of Middlefork, kayaking the creek and pond, building a fire pit, dialing in some interior storage, and I even started to work on an off-grid shower. To catch you up, we bought this property in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan in January of 2025. It's got an abandoned cabin started but not finished, a creek, a boardwalk, and lots of trash. Our goal is to finish the cabin, clean up the land, build some outbuildings, and overall make this property a joy to be at. Thanks for tuning in as we continue building up Middlefork. If you followed the series, you know that we've done some major work to the cabin since we bought the property about 6 months ago in January. We've literally gone bottom to top on this cabin, from floor insulation, subfloor, and flooring, all the way up to replacing the entire roof. We've also built a sleeping loft and a ladder, and installed a kitchen and outhouse. Every trip so far has been a work trip with 1 or 2 big project targets. The one thing that we haven't done, funny enough though, is come up to Middlefork without a big project. Just come up and stay for a while, and enjoy all the hard work that we've put in so far. In addition, I've been really curious about working from the cabin. I know that we get pretty good cell reception from Middlefork, and I hope to test running a hotspot off my phone and powering my laptop with solar. I've been very back and forth about working from the cabin. Middlefork seems to be a place of peace, quiet, disconnecting, and the simple manual labor and chores of being off the grid. This place, how wild it is, how remote and rugged, it could exist in a different era than remote work, laptops, cell phones. I don't think that some modern conveniences and technology would ruin an off-grid cabin experience, but this definitely is not just an off-grid office for my day job. My experience working from the cabin went well. I was able to do everything that I needed to do, even including a couple Zoom meetings and some pretty involved communications and project work. But it also didn't quite feel right to sit there on my laptop while 40 acres and at least 40 projects on those 40 acres were calling my name. Time will tell, and hopefully I'll be able to better figure out how these two worlds interact. May have been gloomy and chilly, but it was a great opportunity to get my landscaping crew busy. Meaning me. This area right outside the front of the cabin and kitchen window was particularly offensive. Most of this is just building waste from the previous owner. I got really tired of looking at it and took most of an afternoon to clear it out. It's like the old saying goes, if you've got to wash dishes, you might as well not look at a construction garbage dump. I'm not sure if anybody actually says that, but I do. This was another brush area that I decided to tackle while I was up by myself. It's right outside the big window, so when you look out the window, looking this way, you just see a brush pile. I've already cleared out this whole side. This was all brush pile before, so we're getting there. So I'm gonna try to clear some of this stuff out and see if it'll burn. It's been raining all day, so good time to burn. Here's that same area after clearing and burning brush. It rained for a couple days straight on this trip, so most of what I did was my actual 9-to-5 job inside the cabin while also hauling and burning brush all day. I don't really have footage because of the rain and the mundane nature of moving brush for 2 days, but it made a huge difference to the landscape around the cabin. While I was clearing some brush out of here, I made an exciting discovery. Look at that. That is a little maple. Just a little guy. But we have, I haven't really seen any maples on this property except for from the drone, so
That's exciting. But there's actually a second one. Second little maple right there. There's a good size comparison with a size 10 sandal there. Yeah, it's a big old spider. No doubt. Okay, I'm going to be starting on an off-grid shower setup, which I'm really excited about. I know that it's maybe arguable in where it falls in the priority scale, but honestly, when you're out here, it's hot and you're sweating all day and maybe you got bug spray on, there's just nothing like being able to rinse off and get even mildly clean. So I'm going to start on this. The only thing I'm going to be able to do on this trip is build a platform for it. I have to come back later and do the walls. You know, I just don't have the materials right now, but I can build a platform and then I should be able to test out the actual shower. So yeah, let's do it.
I'm going to make a more in-depth video about building the entire shower, but here's the gist of just getting the platform done.
Kind of realize we haven't gotten much finished footage of the outhouse either. So here's the outside and the glorious interior. So this is a Sunmar Excel NE composting toilet. And you can see it vents out the back. We got this awesome window here. Little shelf with a toilet paper holder. Clear roof. You can see that the toilet actually vents out and up. And it basically carries all the smell out. It's a very non-stinky outhouse, that is for darn sure.
Now that I was clean from the shower and had the John all ready to go, my wife and our German Shepherd Kelty came up for a long 4-day weekend. The creek splits our 40 acres with about 2/3 of our land on the south side of the creek, that's where the cabin is, and about 1/3 on the north side. With the creek in the way though, we've never actually been able to set foot on the north side of the property. Bringing up a kayak not only gave us access to paddle the creek and the pond, but also gave us a way to easily and dryly cross to the other side and check out the north side of the property.
Flawless. Well, who knew we got at least one very large cedar right here. Leaning over, trying to die, but hanging in there. Not only do we have a big cedar, we also have a gigantic rock. That's exciting. I always wanted one. Oh look, we got ourselves a second cabin on the property. Gorgeous, isn't it? Yeah, probably a deer blind or something of the like. Nothing in it to look at.
The north side of the property was really cool. Rocks, cedars, and aspens were all abundant, and we don't really have any of that on the south side. Back across the creek on the main portion of our property, we set out to do some more exploring of our 40 acres. We wanted to check out a couple larger maples that we've seen from the drone and see what some of the area around the creek looks like.
Got a few maple saplings back here next to this monster maple. Another one there. Another one there. Problem with a lot of this property here is that it's pretty tough going. This is an open spot, but if you wanted to get out of this clearing, I'm just not really sure how to cut trails in this type of property. It's pretty tough. So here's the base of that big old maple.
Incredibly.
So here we're kind of smack in the middle of the property. And there's some really nice birches. There's a couple of maples around. But I mean, yeah, you can just see there's so much down stuff. The ground is very hilly and lumpy. It's coming up scrubby. If anybody has any ideas on how to clear some of this stuff out easily, I will take them. That one's got a pretty good trunk established there. Or stem. Guess we're probably a little early for trunk. Sorry for the shaky camera footage, but it's not exactly easy walking around back here. Great thing about this spot here is that it's on a pretty tall bank, probably about a 10-foot bank, and it just directly overlooks the creek here. Got a really nice view. You're kind of right at the bend in the creek. There was a trail at one point, I think, but it's gotten quite overgrown and stuff's fallen and kind of looks like this now, so that's fun. A little scat, never hurt anybody.
Now, one reality of exploring on a hot day is ticks. There are definitely a good number of ticks up here. Treat your clothes, wear bug repellent, but it's really important to do regular tick checks. It's just part of the deal of being outside, though. Back at the cabin, and now tick-free, I set about making a table stand for our battery bank. Rachel did some more plant ID around the cabin area, and Kelty kept cool in the cabin. It was hot this weekend, crazy hot. With Kelty's black coat, she needed lots of cool water, and we just tried to keep her out of the sun. The deer flies were also really bothering her ears, and she was more than happy to just nap on the futon during the heat of the day. Now our battery bank is off the floor, off the countertop, kind of just out of the way and in its permanent home.
So much of the land is covered with native plants like Canadian bunchberry. Introduced plants like red raspberry here, and then a couple of different varieties of blueberry, low bush blueberry and velvet blueberry. So far we haven't found a single invasive species plant. That is to say, we're probably the most invasive thing here. Pretty incredible. Downstate, you really can't step foot on land that isn't covered in invasive species, but this is pretty untouched. I'm in a few native plant groups, And I've heard these guys are pretty tough to get growing on your land, so it's really, really fantastic that they're here and all over the place. Pair that with some fern, you're good to go.
As our day wrapped up, we saw that there was going to be some rain overnight. Then we saw that it was actually going to be a very bad, severe storm. Well, it sure was.
Hail now.
Well, that was a wild ride. Happy to say that the roof that we replaced back in the third episode held up great, and the cabin stayed dry and snug. But heavy rain and hail on a metal roof with no insulation is very loud. It also got me thinking about siding. The Tyvek house wrap is great, but after weathering a severe storm, I am ready to see some real siding on this cabin.
Oh, hello, my friend. Toad number 2 of the morning. Must be our lucky day.
The rest of our trip was spent just trying to beat the heat. It was about 100 degrees Fahrenheit or 38 degrees Celsius. Too hot and humid to do anything major, but a good temperature to enjoy the creek and pond by kayak.
Startled a deer. That was exciting for both of us.
I also worked on the fire pit area.
It's hot. That is a trunk full of rocks, if ever I've seen one. And I have certainly seen them.
Not overly happy to haul rocks from the car when it was aggressively hot, but it turned out great. Especially considering when I first saw the property, there was a collapsed red tent full of trash on this exact spot. That's definitely an improvement.
So next time we come up, the plan is to side the cabin, but got a bit of a problem, and that is that the foundation of the cabin is not square with the edges of the building. There's this overhang here. It's not huge, but it's probably 1.5 inches, maybe 2 inches there. That's the bottom plate, the bottom 2x4 right there. And normally you'd want your siding to come all the way down and even down onto your foundation. It just helps with waterproofing, but this has been an issue because obviously, like when it rains, it's going to run down the Tyvek and kind of collect here. So we've already been fighting that. The new roof with the overhang helped, but I'm not really sure how to tackle that. It's not really bad on this side or the front. But yeah, that back wall is going to be interesting.
We've got some time to ponder that, since now we have to leave this wonderful place and get back to life, work, and other obligations. Next time, we'll be upsiding the cabin using a bit of an unconventional method and material. Stay tuned for that video, and thank you so much for watching as we continue building up Middlefork.